Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mental Health Awareness Week. Here at Kaplan, we've been organising various different projects with different teams, all based around mental health and nature. And one of the projects that came about was this podcast. So I just wanted to introduce my fellow podcasters. We've got Kiva Campbell. Hi, Kiva. How are you doing?
I'm
Hello.
good.
And Tom Keegan. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Very well. So we've recently had training to become mental health first aiders. And just sort of for everyone, we are amateurs. We're not professionals, but we just wanted to sort of start a conversation about mental health. It's something we're becoming a lot more aware of at the moment. And Kiva, this was your idea to start the podcast. And what was your inspiration behind this?
So I have worked with Kaplan for over a year now, and obviously, as everyone knows, for the past year we have all been in lockdown. Now I have struggled with mental health my whole life, but previously it was never something that was talked about in the workplace. But now that our lives are becoming more blended between home and work, I just thought that this is a topic that was so important to bring in and start talking with your colleagues on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. And how about you, Tom? What was your feelings about joining the podcast?
Yeah, something that's probably in a previous role had more of an personal issues with, as a job breakdown, moving to different part of the country and just kind of noticing the toll it was taking on my mental health there.
Yeah,
and then just the last year, now that I'm more aware of it, the last year has kind of allowed me to pinpoint it and see it in friends as well that have struggled with lockdown and job uncertainty and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been such a weird year and bizarre for everyone, I think. And at Kaplan, we've got lots of different teams and everyone's been dealing with it differently. I work in student experience team, so we run exam sessions for students across all the different institutes. And we also support tutors when they're teaching. So we've actually been in, we were furloughed for a few months and we've been back in the office running exams for the last sort of 8-9 months now. But I guarantee for you both, you've actually been working at home, haven't you?
Yeah.
And what's that been like? So before lockdown and then obviously during lockdown and where we are now, what was life like, Kiva, before lockdown for you?
Before lockdown, I was actually in a different team. So I started off working for Kaplan in the student service department. So when I was in a very busy office, I was used to being around so many different people. And anytime that I had a difficult call or I had issues, I could go and speak to them people. But now being in lockdown and being in the house all the time, I don't have that option anymore. And you kind of find it a bit more difficult because you can't see the people that you're working with anymore. They can't see if you're upset. So it's harder to kind of on a chat pop up and be like, I'm feeling very low today. Do you mind having a conversation with me on it?
Absolutely. There's no one there to say, oh, do you want to just pop and have a chat in, the storeroom or wherever,
or go for a quick coffee.
Exactly. Go out for a coffee or a walk around the block with someone. That's just not available, is it? And you said that you changed jobs. Did you change jobs during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I went from being in student services, and then in the first lockdown, after around a month, I moved over to the logistics team. Now, in the past couple of months, I have moved again. So I've moved over to the IDD team and I now work as a video editor. With doing that, it does mean that I spend a lot more time by myself just editing. So I do try and jump on calls at least once a day or twice a day just to see another person's face.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not my cat.
It's not, yeah. What's your cat's name, by the way?
My cat's called Dolores. He is my best workmate in the house, I will say.
Co-worker Dolores. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Dolores, for all your help.
That's our great company on that.
We are indeed. And you've got a cat too, haven't you, Tom? You've got two.
I have two, Ripley and Newt, and I'm
named after the classic film Aliens.
Exactly. And have the personalities to match it.
Oh, bless.
Which is a lucky coincidence. But Ripley usually joins most of my calls, most of my clients.
I can see we can see a tail usually kind of snaking around.
And most of my clients have met my cat, or her tail at least. But similar to Kiva, I find it like not having, see if you get off a tough call or you get a tough question, not having someone right beside you to just talk it through or vent is kind of frustrating in a way sometimes. You end up to try to actively reach out to people and have those conversations, because you can't just meet people in the...
Absolutely. And this has been affecting majority of Kaplan staff and students as well, because I know a lot of students will have just been, that have gone from working in their firm and also studying as well, to everything being online. So we've probably all had quite sort of similar experiences in terms of our lives changing completely, especially in that initial lockdown when we were all kind of sent home, no clue what was going on. Was there any way you found, I'm just trying to think what's the best way, maybe what was difficult, and was there anything that helped alleviate that maybe?
In our team, in our mini team, we did set up daily calls among the 3 or 4 of us, and every afternoon we had a call, catch up, because we've seen each other every day in the office from 9 to 5:30, and suddenly not at all. It was really nice, and it kind of petered out after a while as we got used to it, and we just jumped on calls whenever during the day, but having that scheduled at first really helped.
Yeah, so just keeping that sort of human contact going and not feeling like
exactly.
We have recently trained as first aiders in mental health. This is obviously a little different to that, and I wanted to ask and talk about what made us decide to do it, or did you request it? How did you, Kiva, how did you come up to the training? What was your story with that?
I'd actually worked with the mental health team just previously, like a couple of weeks beforehand. I was creating a video for them to put onto YouTube, and then I just got an email from Sarah saying that they were offering this training out, and I just found it really important. So I got back to the manager first and was like, would you mind if I go forward for being a mental health first aider? I would find it very beneficial for myself and for other people around me as well. And he was more than happy for me to do it. So I just got back to Sarah and set up to actually start doing the course as well and getting on board with the team.
Yes. And how about you, Tom? What was your introduction to it?
Yeah, it sounded interesting. Initially, I signed up to the Client Solutions as one of the wellness officers with Client Solutions with their charity partners as well, and plans for the year. Being on that, I got the invitation to join the Student Mental Health Awareness Committee. And then the first aid, when it came around as an option, I jumped at it. It's something that has always been an interest, but I didn't have much knowledge of. So it was great to get that opportunity to learn more about how to talk about it, how to understand what to do.
I mean, I think in all the, sorry, Tom.
Sorry, I was passing to you. How did you?
Yeah, this is the joys of Zoom, everyone. I'm sure everyone knows what it's like. We kind of talk over each other and can't work out who said what. But yeah, I mean, I again, probably quite similar to you both. I'd seen I'd seen the opportunity come up to join the team, and I think in all the times in all the jobs I've had, I've never been offered mental health first aid training. It's always been the practical first aid, never anything to do with mental health. And I think for me, working with students, we do have, not very often, but the occasional crisis moment. And I think just to have some kind of training for me was sort of seemed essential, because there are the odd situation that crops up where just having that little bit of background knowledge makes all the difference, I think.
I don't use it on a day-to-day. I've never had to, but when I'm talking to clients and they're asking about where apprentices are with falling behind or things like that, I now kind of take that step back and you just kind of go, it's not been an easy year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to just be more understanding.
Exactly, it's an understanding that's required. And I was doing it before, but now even more deliberately. I think a lot of people are admitting that it's been tough and going from tough as to that the next part as to why, and actually talking about it. I think it goes back to the title of this episode of like the taboo of talking about mental health is being broken almost naturally, because everyone is suffering. It's not someone that's on TV or in town that you walk past. It's everyone is having mental health to some degree, extent.
And we've not been able to kind of distract ourselves away from it by going to the pub or going to the cinema, or the things that you would do. You would just go and see friends and just say, oh, I'm feeling a bit down, or because the only thing you might be doing is just scheduling a Zoom call on a Friday, and then you've got the awkwardness of a Zoom call where you just don't end up naturally having those kind of conversation. So we've had to look at how we really feel.
I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to kind of, although I miss her and I do miss people and I cannot wait to actually be able to go on and do things. I think that taking that time to find who you are as a person, find different ways to cope with situations, and realize that although you might deal with something in a certain way, others deal with things differently as well. And each person has different coping mechanisms. So it's about finding what works best for you.
Absolutely. And another thing we wanted to talk about today was breaking the taboo of talking about mental health, which I think it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are talking about it now, and in all my working life, it's not really been something that's been discussed at all. And what does that mean for you?
When it comes to breaking the taboo, I think it's very important for me, because I feel like before actually doing this course, being able to talk with other people, and whenever we had our first aid course, we heard the stories of other people within CAPA and other colleagues that we've worked with, and we've actually realised that they're also struggling. And beforehand, I never thought that. I thought it was just me. I feel like now it's important to stop and be like, no, you can make mistakes sometimes. You can talk about your health. How do you feel it's important to break that taboo now?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I think it's sort of, we're just going to talk about it and there's no judgment. And I think that was what I felt was great with the training was, and it's so simple, but it is to do with listening and allowing that silence for the other person to just to kind of be honest and vulnerable if they want to be.
If you have a physical illness, a broken leg, something like that, it's so easy to see what it is. But something mentally, it's so difficult. It's so easy to hide from other people then. And so the taboo needs to be broken. I don't know why it's there, but it is historically in most societies globally, but it's something that needs to be broken, that we can start talking about it, that people aren't afraid to say, I'm having an off day, I'm down, I've got issues, can I talk, can I just take the day off, whatever is required to help.
So I think we're all hoping, aren't we, with this? It's sort of, it is the kind of, it's a new
opening the conversation, allow people to talk.
Absolutely, yes.
And with that, probably should point people towards the student wellbeing section on our website.
Yes, absolutely.
Any information.
I think that a lot of our students think that our website is just all based around accountancy and all based around studying, but it's not.
There's
you can
really
go on
interesting articles on overcoming the winter blues. Part of the reason why lockdown 3 was so hard was lack of vitamin D, lack of sun, and trapped inside. So definitely people need to have a look through that. We'll put the links in the end.
Absolutely, yes, that would be great. All the links will be up. Yes, so next week's episode, what's the theme for that?
Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about the topic of everyone has a story. We're going to get some short clips from other members of staff around Kaplan, and we're going to see their tips and tricks as well on how they deal with mental health, and just kind of, once again, opening up the story to the bigger company and to our business as a full.
Absolutely. So yes, it's been lovely for us all to get together and have a chat, and we look forward to speaking to you all next week.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.